Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I have scouted some MLS players that I believe are going to be good budget or undervalued picks for the upcoming MLS season. And surely by now you know the rules. If you can please subscribe to the channel and like the video and even drop a little cheeky comment, that'd be greatly appreciated. So to start off in goal, we got Brad Guzan of Atlanta United. Atlanta United did alright last season, didn't exactly achieve the heights I thought they were going to achieve. But I've chosen Brad Guzan for the pure sake of that. He's only £2.81 of retirement recording. A little disclaimer though guys, I'm unsure if Atlanta are looking to buy a new goalkeeper. They have Guzan, I believe they just got rid of Westberg, who's now a free agent, and he was 37, Guzan's 39. So I'm not sure if they're going to bring in a goalie anytime soon. That's probably the reason why he's £2. But from right now, there's nothing in their roster or their squad that shows me they have another goalkeeper on the way. But do obviously keep that in mind. So as you can see here, if we just put down from the games he had started, which was pretty much the majority of last season when he came back from, I think it was an ACL he'd done. So yeah, score wise, not too shabby at all. Like I said, he's only £2.80 at the moment, just £3. So the risk to reward ratio is probably going to be a lot higher. The risk there is not too high either. So that's why I don't think someone like Guzan's going to be that too bad of a shout, if I'm honest with you. As you can see here, he does obviously keep a clean sheet, hit a nice juicy 96 against LA there early on into the season. But scores wise, obviously he's not the best, but he's definitely a cap 240 option for you guys out there. L15 of 41, L5 of 42. So obviously not the greatest, but like I said, for £2.80, I don't think it's that too much of a risk. Now for a better goalkeeper and slightly younger at 32 as opposed to Guzan's 39, and we have here Zach McMath. Decent goalkeeper, L15 of 48, so again quite cap mode friendly. That is the sort of highest sort of point you want to go to. I think it's 48 points per player. It's roughly shared between the 240 points in that. But L5 of 59, which shows that he's done really well to the back end of the season. And as you can see here, scores wise, he's hitting a lot greater than Guzan, but obviously the price he's at £8.20. It's obviously more than quadruple the price for him in comparison to Guzan. But at least you know you're getting somewhat of a starter, unless something changes drastically. And do your research guys before buying any of these sort of players. I will put that out there. But at £8.20, as you can see on screen, he's not too shabby at all. Like I said, with the scores, even his yearly AA output is 10.4, which isn't too shabby for a goalkeeper. And if I was to get rid of the bench appearances or sub appearances, he was sharing it. I think Beavers, I believe his name is, the youth goalkeeper for Real Salt Lake, was having a random game every now and again, but I do think Zach was injured at that point. But not too shabby scores, you can see here. Even got a nice little penalty save within here, another penalty save here. So obviously he's a big tall goalkeeper who obviously can stretch across the whole span of the goal when it comes to actually saving a penalty. I think Real Salt Lake in general probably underperformed near the back end of the season. They had a half decent start to midway through of the season, and sort of looked like they picked up in the last few games, but even then there's 2 out of 4 losses in the last remaining 4 games of the MLS season. So I do firmly believe Zach is a half decent goalkeeper to have in the sort of lower side of the goalkeeper price range. Goalkeepers seem to be going anywhere between 12 to 20, 25 pounds for the better ones. So I don't think Zach is too shabby at all for just under 9. Next up we have Yeimar Andrade of Seattle Sounders. I think it's a really solid player, not too shabby at all for the low price of £5.20 at the moment. L15 of 48, which is obviously really nice for the cap mode side of things. That's the higher again echelon of what you want to be using within the cap 240 mode. In regards to scores, as you can see on screen, it's putting some really decent little scores up. Obviously not stupid high, you're not getting your dark greens, etc. But at least you're hitting the light greens, the 60s, early 70s quite frequently. And Seattle themselves, I believe they conceded the least out of both the Eastern and Western Conference. So if we look at his AA scores in regards to the last 3 months, he's hitting 16.1. In the last 6, he's hitting 14.1, and in the last year, he's hitting 18.4 on average. So if we have anything to go off by from last season, you can see Seattle Sounders finished in 2nd place. They only conceded 32 goals in the 34 games. So obviously do your own research guys, but I would choose probably Yeimar out of all the backline. He's probably the most concrete one to be starting for the Seattle Sounders backline. And like I said, for only £5 as well, I don't think it's too shabby at all, and I think he's quite undervalued in that instance. I think all MLS have blown up in proportion because obviously the MLS season's coming up, but I think that's only going to go up a little bit more as the season comes by. Now, I've got Ryan Hollingshead here for you. Now, LAFC are going somewhat through a transitional period. Although they were in the finals of the playoff last season, they have lost quite a few figureheads within the dressing room. They're losing Chiellini, Bwanda looks like he's going to be leaving, and so does Carlos Villa. So that leaves very few left, and Ryan is one of those people. L15 of 60, which is quite high, so when you recommend him in the Captain 40 modes, and L5 of 73, but again goes to show how well he's been playing over the last 15 to 20 games. We take a look at his scores. Obviously you can see he's hitting some beautiful scoring there. Hundreds a couple of times actually, and lovely dark greens every now and again also. So if we get rid of any sort of subbed appearances or DMPs, he's hitting 18.8 in regards to his AA scoring over the last year. The last 6 months is 22.1 and the last 3 is 24.7. So if we take it from the last 3 months of the MLS season, as you can see here, he was putting up some really good scores, some lovely positive AA with even a goal to go with it. So I'm sure LAFC are going to buy some defenders to obviously make up for the loss of someone like Chiellini, but nevertheless we obviously have Ryan here, and I don't think he's that bad at all, and I think he's decent for only that £5.60 mark. Next we go on to midfielders, and I've got Christian Espinosa here, the XA god himself. Like the expected assists that he's meant to have last season were, I think, if I remember correctly, were quite high. The Argentine international obviously plays for San Jose Earthquakes, 57 L15 with a 60 L5, only valued at £6.80 also at the moment. So if we look at his scores, again, some lovely scores in there. Hasn't hit 100, no, but he has hit the nice dark green scores a few times from last season, as well as some nice greens in there also. So the bloke has been basically at San Jose the majority, if not all of his career, and as you can see on screen here, he hits those lovely greens on quite a fair few occasions each season. And his AA score in the last year is at 10.5. In the last 6 months of the MLS season was 12, and AA of 12.2 in the last 3 months. Within regards to San Jose Earthquakes themselves, they just scraped through in 9th place in the final series of the playoffs by just 1 point ahead of Portland. All in all, Christian is one of my favourites out of the whole list. I had him at the start of the season, so I have a little soft spot for him, yes, but at £6.80 for somebody who achieves the expected assists he's meant to achieve and even contribute to a goal every now and again, I don't think he is too shabby at all, and I can definitely see him being picked up by a different MLS team, even LAFC or something like that, but that is pure speculation. There's nothing of going off anything in particular. But that is Christian Espinosa, 28-year-old for San Jose. So now we go to Houston. Well, actually we did go to Houston. I'll tell you why in a second. So we've got Cory Beckerman here. He's only £3.80 at the moment of recording. L15 of 46 with an L5 of 40. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, this guy looks rubbish. That's where you're wrong. Because potentially, well, you could be right to be fair, but if I was to go off my little hunch, he looks like he's going to be a good striker he's just moved to Cincinnati. And Cincinnati literally finished first in their Eastern Conference League also, scoring 57 goals within 34 games, so they obviously score goals for fun. And Cincinnati have just lost their main striker, Brandon Vasquez, to Mexican side Monterrey. Now it looks like Cory is going to be the #1 striker at Cincinnati, who I really enjoy their football. It's always good flowing attacking football. In regards to his scores, they aren't too shabby at all, especially for the price. Like, yes, again, he's not hitting that 80, 90s, 100, but again, you got to expect that for the price. And within the last 6 months of the MLS season with Houston Dynamo, he finished on 18 appearances with 8 goals and 3 assists. So I would not say that is too shabby for somebody, like I said, at £3.80 currently floor price, L15 of 46. So again, you can use him in your Cap 240 teams or go nuts in your America squad. It's completely up to you. I also just want to mention with Cory as well, is that although it says he's got forward card, the cheaper ones are midfielder, so that is just a little heads up for you guys. But either way, his forward card is only £1 extra. So I've got now Albert Rusnak here, L15 of 51, L5 of 64, and only at £3.80 I think is a steal. In regards to his scores, again, they're not the best from this season, but I'll tell you why in a second. So if we mainly focus around this point here, yes, it was a while ago, but I'll tell you why. So basically, Seattle have just let go of Ladero, who was their main attacking output in the sort of midfield position. And because of that, Rusnak was more used as a more defensive-minded midfielder, gets up and, more box to box, I would say. And obviously, because of that, he's not been able to have as much attacking output as what he used to do. And because of that, it's obviously been damaging his attacking output, which you obviously seen from last season. Now I feel like since Ladero has left, I think Rusnak's going to fill that void very nicely. AA scores 11.5 in the last year, 6 months 9.6, and the last 3 months is 14.1. But when he does score and when he does assist, that means he's going to push you more towards that 70-80 threshold. Now we go to Sporting Kansas City and we've got Alan Pulido here, the Mexican himself, L15 of 54, L5 of 53. Currently only £3.60 as well. Again, I feel like it's a bit of a steal. He is 32, but he's still got a contract till the end of 2026. Where if he does leave, he's probably going to go back to Mexico. Just an assumption. Now, from obviously what you can see from last season, he was hitting the nice little green scores there again. Nice dark greens, light greens every now and again. And for a team who had a very poor start and just sort of went average at the end of the day. So as you can see here, obviously Sporting Kansas City was sitting in 8th place and having scored 48 goals in that, which wasn't too shabby at all for the amount of goals they scored to the place they actually finished in the standings. Obviously at the end of the day, he is a striker and a budget one at that, so he's not going to have the best AA. 7.3 in the last year, 6 months 6.6, and the last 3 months of the MLS was 5.6. But even you can see this, so in the last 3 months, 3 assists in the last 5 games, which is really handy. In the last 6 months was 4 goals and 3 assists in the last 13 games. And overall, 14 goals, 4 assists in the last 31 appearances. So 18 goal involvements in 31, I don't think is too shabby for someone who's not exactly in a top range team, and that is only going for £3.60 at the moment. Next we have here is Brian White of Vancouver Whitecaps, L15 of 56, L5 of 47. £6.40, so the more expensive one so far out of the strikers. But from what you can just see here alone, obviously he's a far better striker, I think, than Pulido. So almost double the price, double the output. That's how it works, I guess. 3.9 AA, so obviously he's a lot more decisive heavy, and you can see that from the scoring. He obviously puts in a lot more decisive actions, so finishing in 6th place isn't too shabby at all. I actually quite like Vancouver Whitecaps, and I think their attacking output is a lot higher than what it should be. But at 55 goals and 34 appearances, again, is not too shabby either. But again, you're getting this bloke for his decisive actions, so in the last year, 3.9 like I said prior, 6 months 4.9, and the last 3 months is minus 0.6. So if you ever pick up a guy like this, like Brian White, you're going to want to use him and utilize him in games where he has a more favourable home fixture, for example. But Brian White, for only £6.40 in a half decent squad in the MLS, and also, he's a good goal scorer in general. I don't think it's too shabby at all, guys, for £6.40, but I'll let you decide that. Next, we have Jeremy Ebobisse of San Jose Earthquakes. You can accompany him with the likes of Espinosa. L15 of 53, L5 of 48. Again, wouldn't use him in Captain 40, so use him in the Americas or All-Star Limited if you feel quite lucky. £5.60 as well is not too shabby floor price at the moment. And if we were to go into his scores, as you see here, he puts out some nice scores for the price he is. Again, if we were to look at his scoring again, AA last year is 8.4, 6 months 6.7, and in the last 3 months is 2.7. So again, someone who is a bit more, decisive orientated. But again, I think you'll find that when it comes to the majority of strikers, even on just Sorare alone. So all up, I don't think Jeremy is too bad of a shout at all. £5.60. Is he my favourite one out of the 3? No, but there's definitely some good options as well. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. As you can see on screen, we're just scrolling through just many of the videos that I've put out. So if you want to check them out, make sure you do. But otherwise, please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.